wow, that the credit, this is not sound funny, goes 100% to the fans. They're the ones that won that game, that final drive. I got giddy about how great they were. You want to talk about what it was, 32,000 or 132,000? That last drive, what they were able to do as a crowd, it's been a long time since I've seen something like that. So credit to them. They showed up, they showed out. It started with the patio walk. It's just a fantastic way to celebrate the city, right? We talked about, with the celebration of 901, and I mean, I can't say enough great things about how wonderful that crowd was. So they get credit for the win. I was proud of our guys' perseverance throughout the game. It was not always pretty. We have a ton to work on. We know that, but we showed some flashes of life. We got to continue to be more consistent, and that's one of those things that we're going to continue to preach if we go back to work tomorrow. Get healthy and find ways to continue to improve our game in so many facets. Offense, defense, and special teams have to find ways. But what it did show today, again, is our guys are continuing to be willing to battle. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. That's one of those things about this team, and we can hang our hat on that we'll continue to fight and give everything we have. Credit to Arkansas State. That's a fantastic football team. Well coached, they played very hard. They got some fantastic players. Credit to them, they don't win a lot of football games. But I was proud of our guys tonight. Just with more than anything, the way they just kept fighting and finding a way to finish. That's the reality of college football these days, finding a way to finish, because the ebbs and flows of a college football game, there's so many ups and downs, and our guys found a way, no matter what it looks like. Early on, I told you guys we wanted to be more consistent running the football. It showed up in the fourth quarter. I guess that's when it matters, right? You find a way to involve in the game with the ball in your hands, right? Defense getting that stop, and then what we said, and Seth Hennigan continues to play at a high level. Continue to find a lot of weapons, right? Katie Eastcorn, the guy that I talked to you guys about prior, stepped up in a big time way. But overall, great team win, but a lot of things to work on. And looking forward to having a great crowd here next week versus North Texas.
Ryan, on Katie, you look at those red zone plays, those 2 touchdowns and that block yourself. I mean, how important is he in those red zone moments?
King preschool, a lot of people know, he came here as really a walk-on quarterback. That's what he was in high school. Now he's grown into a grown man, if you will. I tell him he still needs to continue to grow, but he's every bit of 6'5.5", almost 260, and runs well. So that's a great red zone target. You talk about those guys, those tight ends sometimes. The quarterback's able to find those guys, and then that block for Seth. We knew good and well Seth when we hand the ball, he was going to keep it himself. We talked about that all week. We actually joked around about it, but Caden's been, just kind of showing the consistency. He's able to do some of those tough catches. It's stuff that we didn't get to see early on, but we know he's capable. And just proud of him and his efforts, and he's going to continue to be a huge, not only a red zone target, but for somebody that we can trust in the passing game, run game, all those things. I'm really proud of his effort tonight.
On fourth down with more than 3 minutes, what were you thinking there when you went for it? And was that
Yeah, it was. There's some of those fourth down decisions that are Jeff that are gut. You sit there and you say, okay, what do we do, right? And, we had that fourth down early. The one that will stick my call tonight, they will allow me not to see this the fumble snap, 4th and short, and that's going to haunt me and say, okay, is there something to do? We practice so many stuff from under center, then you go to some of those other 4th downs where we'll get just lining up and running inside zone and coming off the football like we're capable. But being able to get that 4th down conversion, the kid was like, okay, here we go. We got faith in what we're able to do, but
was it clear all along we were going to go for it? There was no hesitation.
Yeah,
timeouts, I think.
Yeah, I think we knew we were going to have to go for it. It's just one of those things that there's analytics that are involved in a lot of stuff, but reality, sometimes I just got to use my head coaching gut and see what the heck I think's best. And I've got full faith in our guys to go out there and execute it. We knew if for some reason it didn't, obviously we'd need those timeouts, but the execution by those guys on that 4th down was obviously tremendous. Great job by them.
Did you go into the game expecting to be going for it on 4th down as much as you did?
I don't know what to expect going into every game. They're all battles, and I've talked about this over the years. I think I've gone in my 3rd year. I'm certainly going to continue to learn a lot as a head coach, but we're seeing more and more teams in college football that are being more aggressive on 4th down, and once having faith in what our defense can hopefully do, what the offense go out there and execute it, and then you start to look at it, and I'm not a big stack guy. You say, okay, well, if there's a 65% conversion rate, does that make more sense? And then some of those also where we were, where the ball was in the middle of the field, you coach one, okay, is it going to be a net gain of 25 yards? Is it really worth it, or is it worth the risk reward in doing that stuff? as we got closer, you'd be able to gain a little more confidence in our kicker, who's doing a nice job. So I think moving forward, we're always going to be, okay, if we go for it on fourth down, does it make sense? And a lot depends on how the feel of the game. But we got great confidence in our offense, and then if it doesn't work out, our defense will be able to out there and do stuff.
Brian, you guys have had some playmakers now the last 2 weeks, whether it's Skates, pre-scoring obviously now, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Jay, obviously, two things. One, what does it say about these new guys starting to kind of find their way here? And second question, between Ducker and Skates, it seems like the transfer portal has reaped benefits so far for you guys.
I think, right, it's just like with anything. Proud to see so many guys, and I talked about our depth, right? And I think that was one of those things we talked about in the preseason. I really like, this whole roster management, where I'll get back to the transfer portal, is building equity and depth, whatever the heck that looks like, and hanging on to it, right? And so finding those guys, right? Depth at wide receiver, seeing different guys step up, right? You guys would say, well, first game, you really didn't target Skates much. The second game, you only targeted him on a few plays. Okay, he was able to step up today in a different variety. Right now, he's got to own the darn football. He can't put that ball on the ground. But it was great to see. We know he's an explosive weapon. Jay Ducker, right? Seems good things, but in turn, right? We talked about how good Brandon Thomas was. Being able to count on him to own the football in a 4-minute situation. Like last year, you told me to put him in on a 4 minute. I'd say, yeah, no, thanks. Let's find somebody else to do that. So a huge trust in Brandon Thomas. Then also you go back. There was an 18-year-old out there carrying the ball, right? Sutton Smith. He looked pretty darn good too. So now all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, okay, they got Caden stepped up. Wait a second, there's a true freshman, Sutton Smith, playing running back. Oh, but what? By the way, Brandon Thomas looked pretty good. Jay Ducker looked pretty good. Ace Martin were able to continue to sprinkle in and do some things here. So now all of a sudden you look at that along with all those other things, we feel like we've got good depth and good positions. Going back to that question, we're always going to be cognizant of everything that we're going to do, whether it's in recruiting high school guys and continue to develop high school guys. I'm always going to hang my hat on the development of the high school guys. And I don't read the media, but someone's going to say, why the heck do you keep bringing this up? We still have a very young team, right? Probably now 75% sophomores and younger. And still those high school guys, but those transfer guys are stepping up, and it's been fun to watch. We got to continue to ask a lot of them, and we'll continue to keep our eye on it in recruiting just like we will.
So is it fun now seeing, again, you mentioned the depth and everything, but is it fun now seeing that depth produce instead of just talking about the depth? Now you can see that depth showing what you believe in.
A fun game and a win. But yes, Kevin, yes. Absolutely. I mean, it's that's what that fun comes in, because I was not having any fun until that clock got 00. I mean, so, but yes, it's good to see what it is. It shows the belief in, okay, we're going to continue to develop that depth and be able to see it produce. Absolutely, because I can sit here up here and say, hey, we got depth, we got this, and you guys say, well, Ryan, where the heck is it? And to be able to see it show up on a night like tonight in a full quarter game, I was proud of that.
No, Coach, you made the change to from Noah Grant to Tanner Gillis. Was that an injury thing or just a decision?
If you keep, we kick the ball out of bounds too many times, and that's a bad deal. And we can't do that, and we just can't put up with that. And, we talked about how good the field goal kicking, extra point kicking game is, right? But we can't do that with low kickoffs, and whoever can give us the best opportunity to kick the ball, hopefully into the end zone in the right direction. Now, even if it's not a touchback, it'll cover down. But once you kick it out of bounds, you put your defense in a tough spot.
You referenced in your opening statement kind of the fact there were times where you were not running the ball well, and then late, running the ball really kind of cinched the deal. How do you reconcile that from like a play calling perspective moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, what's interesting is you go, and I don't like to compare. This game is completely different than the main game, different than this season. But that's kind of been the run game, like, right? Oh, there's an 8-yard game, but then nothing. And then in the middle of the third quarter, you're like, these guys can finally run the ball. And so I don't want to be one of those teams that's body blows, and then the third quarter we're able to wear them down. Now, if that what it takes to get us to win games, that's fine. But we're also going to take what they give us, and that's what's great about having such an intelligent quarterback that's going to sit there and say, okay, if that safety's flying down or they're playing that adjuster box, we're going to take what they give us, and we got a smart quarterback that's going to take advantage, and that's why you're able to see some of those other guys, those playmakers step up because, okay, they want to stop the run, here's what we're going to do. And at the end, I think the reality of a lot of that running the ball effectively was the will to finish the game. And that's what was cool tonight, to see the guys that, hey, we're going to will this thing, whatever it looks like, even if we weren't doing a good enough job as we need to consistently up front. What we got to do, and sometimes we're bouncing the ball out, and so it's just trusting the tracks of what we got to do. But yeah, again, it goes back to I'd love to be able to say, okay, let's run the ball for 40 yards in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then at the end of the day, we'll 160 yards rushing, and then let's see what we end up doing in the passing game. But I think you just got to be, okay, what's the defense giving us? But again, it shows that we're capable. So I'm not serious pulling my hair out saying we got no chance to run the football. I think we saw some good things from that today, some good things from the running backs. Again, it goes back to that term I used, consistency, Mark. We just got to find a way. How do we get it, right? Because at the beginning of the game, we're like, man, we're not hitting on all cylinders. What do we need to do? But as we found our rhythm, I think part of it was the excitement of playing at home opener. I mean, let's call it what it is. I wanted our guys, I wanted over to Tessa. Let's take a deep breath. Man, take a deep breath. Let's go play football like we know. This is just, it's a Tuesday or Wednesday practice. We worked hard all week. Let's go out there and execute that.
Coach, you mentioned-
He certainly did. Yes, sir.
First of all, congrats on the paint bucket, man. You brought the paint bucket. And it's a nice straight home opener. How big is it to get a, everyone's big, but how big is it to get a win at home?
And it's, you guys know my passion for the city and this home crowd. It's awesome, right? We have to be able to win games at home, right? No matter what it looks like. This is a fantastic home field advantage for us. We've got, not to steal an ad, we've got to protect this house in every way, shape, or form. Our guys have a sense of pride being able to play here in front of the crowd. We knew what the opening season would look like with 2 away games, but to be able to come back and do it in this warmer fashion versus what a lot of people consider still a regional rivalry game. I've had a lot of people from the old Memphis State days say, Coach, man, this is a huge rivalry, and we knew it was going to be a battle. Every single one. Guess what? Next Saturday is going to be a tough, hard fight, but it's fun to do it in front of your home crowd. I'm excited we get that opportunity to do it next weekend.
Ryan, the defense did what it needed to do on that final drive, but earlier in the game, they had some issues getting off the field on third down. Is that concerning, for you at this point?
You know, what was concerning, Frank, for me is I understand teams are going to maintain that. They have a 6-year quarterback that's really good. And he was able to find deficiencies in certain parts. The explosive plays kind of bothered me. We still got to clean up tackling. I felt we missed too many tackles again, and we've got to get back to being great at the fundamentals. If the team's able to put together a 12-play drive, sure, but we can't, we wide open wheel route, wide open on the seam. I thought, some of those things we've got to be able, we can't have any blown coverages, if you will, and we can't allow the explosive runs. There's times guy found it and shuffled. I mean, there's, in and out. Sometimes like, wow, the defense looks really good, and then other times, man, how do we play clean football? They got the stop when it mattered most, but you're right, Frank. We just got to find, going back to what I was talking about, really in all 3 phases. How do we be more consistent? I think we got to go say, okay, what do we have on defense? How do we get better?
You did get that turnover late, keeping that streak alive of getting a turnover. I guess how reassuring is that is still going on?
As long as whenever that turnover belt gets to come out, I don't care if it's with 0-0 on the clock, that turnover belt gets to come out, and it's good. That's one of those things. We're going to have to continue to own the football, and I preach it probably ad nauseum to our guys. They hear me say own the football. And they always know it's going to be a key to the victory every single week. And that's not coach speak, but if we're able to take care of the football and offense, and then be able to get a takeaway, we obviously would love to have more than one on defense, right? Going back to the question about stats, then we give ourselves a heck of a chance to win.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all coming out tonight.